sure if you will. Haven't heard back from Chris or Gratian, so I think we can go ahead and get started. Agenda item 1 is we'll call the meeting to order at 6:00 p.m. on Wednesday, October 20th. Does everybody have a copy of the agenda or have seen it?
I'm having a hard time getting, I can hear you.
Is that better?
No, that's worse, Cody.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, my video's not working for.
Oh, okay, okay. I thought it was me.
No.
Okay.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Agenda item number 2 is approval of the agenda. Has everybody had a chance to review the agenda?
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve it?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Martin? Can you hear us? Martin, can you hear us? Let me text Martin and see if he's having trouble.
Okay.
Hey, Martin, you might need to hit the unmute button to talk.
Did you try to text him, Cody?
Yeah, he's working on his mic.
I did talk to Collis and he's up in Jigs working and he didn't have access to something for the meeting tonight.
Okay, yeah, it was short notice.
I don't think he had an iPad or nothing to set up to do a Zoom meeting.
You got me now? You can hear me now?
Yes.
You can now, Cody?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that confusion and delay. Martin, do you approve the agenda?
I did.
Okay. Agenda item number 3 is the approval of the May 11th minutes. We've actually done that at the last meeting. I don't have the current minutes from the last meeting, so I think we can skip agenda item number 3. Agenda item number 4, member announcements and correspondence, informational. Does anybody have any announcements or correspondence?
No,
Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item number 5. Area 11 and Area 12 project proposals for possible action. The subcommittee will review project proposals discussed at the prior meeting. The subcommittee members will decide to approve or amend each proposal. Approved proposals will be presented to the Mule Deer Enhancement Oversight Committee. I'm gonna share my screen so everybody can hopefully see the forms.
okay, got it.
Does everybody see the forms?
Yes,
Are they big enough?
well, yeah. Nice. That's great.
So if everyone remembers, we recommended a pinyon juniper treatment, riparian fencing project, and a predator proposal project for area 11 and area 12. So the first one we'll go over is the Antelope Range riparian fence. And most of this is just kind of generic information. We can kind of quickly scroll through it. The project is in crucial summer mule deer habitat. It's decreasing project or decreasing population. Other existing projects in the area, NDOW has 3 guzzlers on the top of the Antelope Range. And so the springs I selected were Tap Spring, and I call it the Mitten Springs. There's just a series of springs to the west of the Mitten. But basically it'll provide water over a 13-mile stretch, kind of connected with those guzzlers across the top of the Antelope Range, or help to, protect the water on top of the Antelope Range from horses and overutilization. And I explained some of that down here, so that the Tap Spring is north of the guzzlers, and then the Mitten Springs are on the south side. Based on just some preliminary fence designs, it would probably cost about $35,000 to put metal pipe rail around these springs. Other species that would benefit are elk, sage grouse, and dusky grouse. Does anybody have any comments or questions, concerns, see anything that needs to be changed?
I think it looks great.
Cody, I had a question. Down on the east side of the mountain, some of them springs are on some private, but if there's extra funding, if we feel like that's beneficial, could we try to approach them owners and work off like for some winter ground too?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what the funding's gonna be like this year. You know, being that this is kind of a new process. We can try to include it, or we can, you know, work on it for future.
Or yeah, future projects.
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea. A lot of this, we just, you know, gotta keep chipping away. We're not gonna get there overnight.
Correct. No, I think it looks good. I think it's a good start.
Yes, definitely.
Anything else on this one?
Where's Pap Springs?
It's up by the Baldy. Baldy. It's north of the Guzzlers. It's north of Tunnel Canyon.
Okay,
Kind of sits down at a canyon bottom up there pretty high.
there's a road cut into it if I remember.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay.
It's heavily utilized by horses and a lot of broken down spring boxes and troughs and stuff. It'd be nice to clean it up and provide some protection.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, well, nothing else, and we'll move on to the next one. So this is the Cooper Canyon PJ treatment. You know, we discussed kind of adding on to, or trying to add on to, you know, projects that we already have going with the BLM, Forest Service, and SMWA. So we'd probably be looking at doing this over the next couple of years. Could be a thinning or a mastication. You know, other funding sources that we already have in place here, heritage dollars, Spring Valley Wind Mitigation Fund. We recently got some funding from the RAC to do some mastication on the Forest Service, and then SMWA is involved as well. Additional species that would benefit would be elk, antelope, dusky grouse, and sage grouse. Asking for $150,000 on this one. Just, there is a lot of work to do in this area. I think it has a lot of potential to habitat, create a lot of habitat as well. So then down here in the comments, you know, kind of what I just said, you know, the partners, that could, treatments could include lop and scatter, hand thinning, and mastication. Any comments or thoughts on this one?
Sounds great.
So, yeah, this is Thomas. I just got here, so I'm just catching a little bit of it, Cody.
Okay, so we're just going over the project proposal forms for projects that we're going to be submitting.
Okay, which we talked about kind of earlier.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, everything from earlier sounded pretty good. So I caught a little bit of mastication over in the antelopes, bunch of potential pinyon juniper, lop and scatter and stuff like that. All seems like it's super beneficial to mule deer to me so far. So
Okay. Anyone else?
Nope, just sounds really good.
Okay, then to finish up the area 11, we talked about doing predator removal and antelope range. Justification is downward population trend, 3-year average low fawn ratios, low buck ratio. We would likely be looking at contracting with wildlife services. It would removal of coyote and mountain lions. Would be looking at running this project for 3 years and probably spending $10,000 to $25,000 a year on predator removal. If you just go in 1 year, the predators will just bounce back. So trying to run it for a longer period and then allowing the deer to respond to it, I think is a better avenue to go with this. Funding source would be out of the NDOW Predator Fund. That $3 fee that you pay on every application.
Excellent.
And then just a brief comment about Area 112 or Unit 112 being a small isolated range with a declining deer population. Predator removal may have some positive impacts in this kind of isolated area.
It definitely can't hurt.
Be a good test, I think. Be a good smaller area to try to see what happens anyway.
Yes.
Anyone else?
You foresee any pushback from the houndsmen, Cody? I know there's a lot of guys that like to hunt out there. Are they going to have a baby fit about it?
I'm not sure. There certainly could be. I think you always run the risk of that. I haven't talked to anyone.
Yeah, I think everybody's deer hunter enough and concerned enough about it that I hope everybody be okay with it,
Yeah. We really haven't been checking that many lions in out of 112 the last couple of years.
Yeah. I just know it's popular for a couple of fellers that are going to be kind of sad about it, but I'm with you. Something needs to happen because I've seen that place when it was really, really good, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and it's amazing the difference now compared to what it was. So
I agree.
I agree.
the only other thing I can add to that is, can we talk animal damage into taking out wild horses, considering them predators? Because that's another common denominator of both those units.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think that'll work.
Dang it.
Okay, well, we'll move on to area 12. So when we talked about the riparian fencing in area 12, we talked about Johnson Spring, and then Mitch mentioned Mud Spring. They're kind of on the southeast side of Telegraph, and I went and looked at Mud Spring, and I don't know that we could actually fence it because it's so small. Because we have to allow water outside the riparian fences for livestock and horses. And it's only about a 10-foot spring and pond. So I'm not sure that it would really work or be allowed. And I also didn't see that much horse use in there. So I don't know if we need to fence it at this point. So because of that, I just went with the Johnson Spring riparian fence. And then after going in there back to Johnson Spring, it's been a couple years since I've been there. I was looking at all the trees. And, I think mastication around the spring would really help too, to hopefully increase some flow on the spring. And then after, mastication, build the fence around the spring and kind of clean things up as well. So this is, on BLM, it'd probably take 3 years to get this completed. NEPA's in progress. So we do have NEPA clearance for the tree removal, but not the fencing. So probably take a little bit longer time to get approval for the fencing if we do get it. The Ely BLM Fuels Shop, or MEF and Heritage have already contributed and Habitat Conservation Fee already contributed to projects in this area, and thinnings and mastications. Other species that would benefit would be sage grouse, antelope, and elk. And so just, down here in the comments explains a little more. Probably be, looking at masticating roughly 20 acres around the spring, and then probably 500 linear feet of riparian fence. The cost of this one really isn't that much, only $15,000. There any thoughts, comments, anything about Mud Spring?
Is Mud Springs in the bottom of Water Canyon? Is that Mud Springs?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I thought that's what it was, but. Cody, is there like a big NEPA process, for like getting somebody to donate a mini X and like digging up and repacking those springs with like infiltrators and drain rock and trying to get them to flow better, such as Johnson? Is that feasible?
I think that NEPA process would definitely be longer and more in depth than just fencing. I think the fencing can be
Okay,
relatively quick, but that's definitely a possibility. It just might take longer too.
I think that would
Okay.
also require coordination with the water right holder, which could complicate things or not.
gotcha. Is Johnson private?
Well, regardless, it would have a water right holder. Somebody would hold the water rights on it.
Copy.
I'm guessing Scott Knoll holds the water rights with that AUM.
So,
And at this point, we haven't contacted any permittees on any of these. This is pretty early in the process, so those are all conversations still need to be had. Even fencing, you have to include the permittee on it too.
Yeah, I think all that we can address later as the projects come on.
Anything else on this one?
No, I think it's definitely worthwhile. The horses destroy that thing every year. So definitely a good one to push forward.
Yes, agreed.
Sorry, I'm a little noisy. Making dinner for hunters and kids and trying to listen.
So the last habitat project that we discussed was the Steptoe bench, PJ treatment, kind of there above the Steptoe Ranch. There's definitely some good areas to do some smaller lop and drop. Some of it's pretty low density. There might be potential to do some mastication, kind of going up the mouth of some of the canyons that have a little more bitter brush and shrub components. But yeah, I do think this would be a good one. It's probably gonna be smaller scale. But it would be good to do some cutting on that bench just to maintain the shrub component, and improve habitat a little bit for wintering mule deer and transition mule deer. We don't have NEPA on this one, so it's on that more on that 3-year type of process. There haven't been any other projects in the area. Sage grouse and antelope would also benefit from this project. We'd probably be looking at trying to get heritage funds or habitat conservation fee. Asking for $50,000. There are some leks in the area for sage grouse, so this project would definitely benefit them as well, as previously stated. Anything on this one?
Sounds
Nope, other than I
good.
think it's a good one.
Yeah.
Water is the only other limiting factor I see over there. I don't know if that could be included in the NEPA, or if anybody still has any appetite for guzzler projects, but
We didn't.
I mean,
discuss it.
other than dropping out to the field, there's really not any water on that whole bench right there.
Yeah, I think I'd be concerned about creating too much year-round habitat in there. That bench is
point.
really important for
It
winter.
is other than that burn. Yeah, yep,
So-
you're right.
I think I'd have some concerns over that, but anything else?
I don't think so.
So the predator removal project that we decided on for Area 12 was Bothwick and Gleason Creek. So similar to the Antelope Range, downward population trend, 3-year average low fawn ratios, low buck ratio. Probably be contracting with wildlife services, lethal removal. Again, running it for 3 years. And I think probably the biggest thing on this one that really stands out that was discussed at the meeting is the domestic sheep permittees no longer running sheep in there. So one, you're taking away an alternative prey source for predators, and wildlife services is no longer conducting predator removal in that area. And the Bothwick Gleason Creek is really the core of the Area 12 deer herd. So
Definitely the goat number.
yeah, so this could probably really benefit deer overall in Area 12.
Yes, definitely. Sounds good.
Okay. So anybody else, or we good?
No, sounds good.
Can you guys see this letter now? are you still looking at the project proposal forms?
Project proposal forms.
I'm riding by Braille. I'm just listening.
Okay.
So this is just kind of a quick and dirty cover letter that I wrote to the subcommittee, just kind of explaining some of the projects. Probably the biggest takeaway here is the limited water sources didn't rank out high in our ranking sheets, but as we discussed, climate and weather and wild horses, and really no control over either one of those, they kind of increase the importance of, protecting limited water sources. And that's why we kind of went the route with riparian fences that we did. I think that's the biggest message here. But
Excellent.
anybody have any concerns or questions, comments about this?
I think it looks great, Cody.
Okay. Well, there's no more comments, then can someone make a motion to approve the project proposals as written? Agenda item number 5.
I'll make a motion to approve all the project proposals as written and discussed tonight.
I second.
I'll second. Perfect.
All in favor?
I
Right.
Aye.
Agenda item number 6 is public comment. Persons are invited to submit written comments to ndow.org or make comments during the meeting. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. No action can be taken by the subcommittee at this time. Any item requiring subcommittee action may be scheduled on future subcommittee agendas. In addition to public comment period, public comment limited to 3 minutes per speaker will also be allowed on each agenda item, action item, but not unless otherwise noted on reports or informational item. Is there any public comment? I think we have to wait 3 minutes on this one.
Cody, if there's no public comment, you don't have to wait 3 minutes.
Okay. Agenda item 7, future subcommittee meetings for possible action. At this point, I don't have a time for another meeting. I'm not sure when we'll have one. Unless anybody else has need or interest in one.
Yeah, whatever works for you, Cody.
Okay, yeah, I think it'll probably be a while until we have one. This was kind of the big push, was to get these project proposals done.
Okay.
So that's the meeting. Mike, do we have to do a motion to adjourn, or can we just adjourn?
You can just adjourn if it's, if there's nothing else on the agenda.
Okay. So, yeah, thank you, everybody, for making it, and appreciate everybody's input and feedback and participation. So,
Yes. Well done, Cody.
Cody.
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Have a good night.
Bye.